what's so great about them is that they have so much character because somebody is literally sitting in a womb.
I'm Carisha Swenson with House Beautiful, and we're building the dream in Colorado.
I am an interior designer in Houston, Texas. I fell in love with design because I studied architecture, but I really wanted to take that design all the way, and that's how I got into interiors, where it wasn't just the envelope of the building, but I was able to design the knobs and the cabinet details and really bring it to life. So the room I'm taking over is the library that I have turned into what I like to call the tea room. This room is a confined space, not open to the rest of the home, so I really took it as an opportunity to up the saturation in the color that I was using, and I really wanted it to be a space that was multifunctional, kind of a retreat and a place to escape. I'm here at Rotorua Rugs in Houston, Texas to select my rugs for the tea room that I'm designing. So for my space, I really wanted to use an antique rug because of the color palette and the interest it can bring. And I'm using this really incredible deep red on all the walls and all the surfaces of the room. So I wanted something that has some red in it, but also brought some other colors and patterns to the room. And what I love about some of these antique rugs is that there's so much character built into them. The space is only about 10 foot by 10 feet. So I wanted to add layering and pattern through the rugs because it is a smaller space. One way I want to do that is to bring in a natural fiber rug that goes almost the entire length of the room, which helps connect the different seating groups and really widen the visual space of the room. And then I want to layer one of these antique rugs on top. You know, when I'm selecting rugs, the first question people ask me is how durable is the rug going to be? And one of the reasons why I love using antique rugs is because, you know, these are 19th and 20th century rugs, over 100 years old. And when they make them, they hand knot them and then let them dry on roofs and in fields for weeks on end. So you're really looking at something that's going to be so durable and something you can even pass down. Also a natural fiber, which is the best as far as being stain resistant. When you're shopping for an antique rug, there's a few things that you should look for to make sure it's good quality. The first is go ahead and touch it and grab it and kind of curl the edge. It should really have a good handle, and if you feel any cracking or breaking, that means it's brittle and probably not high quality. The other thing you can look for is look for the colors. In a vegetable dye, which is what was used 100 years ago, you can spot how they mix different colors together, and you can see variations in that color. The last thing you should look for is on the back of a rug. It should really feel smooth because it's been walked on for so many years and really pounded to be smooth and not hairy or brittle at all. So I decided to go with this vintage rug because not only is the red spot on to what I was looking for, but I love how it brings in some blues and some greens, which are some other accent colors I wanted to use in the space. So I'm working through my space right now, and I'm really trying to come up with ways to increase functionality. It's really a square room with 4 simple walls, so I'm trying to play with the architecture and maybe bring the walls out to add functionality and maybe add some other vignettes around the room, so it's not just a simple box. I'm here at my interior design studio in Houston, Texas. So the space I was assigned is traditionally known as the home study or library, but I thought let's twist it up and do something a little more interesting, and I was really inspired by historic tea rooms. So I wanted to use this inspiration of a tea room to create a space that somebody might welcome guests, sit and read a book, but also have the workspace to sit down and work for a few hours and shut the doors and kind of have your own home office. This room is essentially a box. It is a 10 by 10 room. And I thought, you know what, instead of just having flat walls on all 4 sides, why don't we use millwork to build in the walls to create different moments of compression and release in the volumes of the space. Where I started with this mood board was the color. I really wanted to embrace this beautiful berry burgundy tone throughout the whole room and create almost a monochromatic feel by painting the walls, painting part of the ceiling, and using a gorgeous Schumacher velvet on the sofa, all in the same tone. Another really special detail that I wanted to include was using wallpaper to inset into all the cabinet doors to create a really fun wall texture throughout the space. So all you have to do, and anybody can really do this at home, is make sure you're using a cabinet door with some sort of inset panel, and then apply the wallpaper directly to the panel. And because I'm using more of a grass cloth texture that has a little bit more of like fraying edges, I decided to work with Architectural Grill to develop one of my favorite details in the entire space, which is we're using this beautiful brushed satin brass, and we're cladding every single door and all the wall panels with this beautiful brass detail to help finish off the wallpaper. But we didn't just stop with the doors. We used it all throughout the space on every wall, and I just think it's going to create such a gorgeous impact. Continuing the red theme, I really wanted to incorporate some fun patterns throughout the space. And you know, I was looking through some gorgeous fabrics from Schumacher and really fell in love with some of these, you know, more bold patterns. And another thing that I liked about these is that they had a base of white. I think in any room where you're using a dark, bold, saturated tone, think about leaving the ceiling white and using kind of bold moments of white in upholstery, in drapery, to really help ground the space, quiet it a little bit, and it won't feel so dark or small. So I decided to go with this beautiful linen with red embroidery because it matched our color tone so perfectly. I ended up going with a beautiful bronze top knob that matches perfectly to what we were trying to do on the panels. I'm so excited because my debut lighting collection is going to be featured in this room. I designed it with Visual Comfort and Circa. And I was really inspired just by organic and natural textures. And that is so much what this room is all about. So I can't wait to see the fixtures in the space. And some of the materials that I use throughout the collection, like fluted brass, fluted glass, and just hammered, time-worn, beautiful patinaed materials, you'll see throughout. And some of the fixtures that I'm showcasing in this room are a few of my favorites. Hey guys, I'm really freaking out right now because the electrician just called and they drilled a huge hole in our lacquered red paneling where the sconces are supposed to go, but they're these beautiful elongated slender sconces, and the hole is twice as big as the sconces. So we're gonna fix it, we're gonna find a solution and pray.
Okay, so Marie, you have not been able to see this space in real life. Are you ready?
I'm so ready to see this. Oh my goodness. This looks so great. Oh my goodness. I love the way the color turned out.
I mean, this color is everything. And I love that it's this little jewel box of this house.
It really is. And that's really what I wanted this space to be, is just a special surprise moment.
Yes.
Almost like a cocoon that you could escape to.
I want to escape in here, even unfurnished.
The thing that I'm most excited to see today in the room are my light fixtures from my collection with Visual Comfort. Both the chandelier and the sconces all around the room. I'm just so excited to finally see them installed.
Aside from the lights, what are you most excited about seeing in this space?
You know, even though it's a small room, I really wanted to focus on the architecture and bringing the walls in. That added the storage and also added a beautiful texture around the room because of the paneling. But what it also does is encase the furniture into these moments that I'm really excited to install these pieces and see the way they really fit so beautifully in the room.
So when you talk about, authentic materials, there's also, you could have left these cabinets just kind of as cabinets with a beautiful lacquer finish. Instead, you really have a lot of detail here. Tell me why you chose to do this inset.
Yeah, I really wanted to bring in this texture
Yeah.
because Colorado is all about being outside, being part of the earth, and I loved bringing in this woven material.
So you have maybe a few more things to make this room complete, yeah?
I got some work to do.
You got a little bit of work to do. I'm gonna let you get to that work because I cannot wait to see this room fully realized.
Right,
And
I
maybe
can't
we'll have
wait.
a cup of tea?
Let's do it.
Okay,
Let's
great.
do it.
That room is so tiny. I don't know where Marie is going to find space for furniture, but she's the designer. It's all up to her. In the meantime, we're going to go out to see Andrew at Palachak, who's got a couple of pieces that are coming into the space.
We are in our Richmond, California manufacturing facility. We're inspired first and foremost by natural materials. That translates into lighting, into home accessories, wall decor, and furniture. We're known for the quality of our weaves and the quality of our execution. There are so many hands and so many people involved in making Palachak furniture what it is today. You can see us pulling down a frame to order, and the frame is immediately sent to our finishing department, where it begins a multi-step process. The first step is going to be the burning process, and that rattan core naturally has small little slivers in it, and the burning process burns those off. So as you see the torch move over, take a look at the sparks that you see. Those are tiny little rattan hairs that we burn off. So after the burning, it's lightly sanded and it goes over to the finishing process. No design ever turns out exactly as you first envision it. It's always just a little bit different, almost like any creative project. But to see that frame take life from the very beginning to the sketch, all the way through the sampling and into the final sample, my favorite part then is showing it to the world.
I'm feeling really excited. I love seeing it all come together, and I'm a little worried about the fact that we're having to hang art before some of the larger pieces come in, but we measured 5 times just to make sure it was right, so I think it's gonna be okay. Okay, moment of truth. Perfect.
Here, I'm gonna run out.
Okay, Carisha, here it is. What do you think?
Well, I know I called this a jewel box before, but this is truly it realized. I love what you've done in here.
Thank you. I'm so excited about the way it turned out.
So, I mean, there's so many like little nooks and crannies already in such a small space. How do you manage that?
Well, I really think just because you're working with a small space, you can do different architectural details like building out these bookcases without losing a lot of space. We gained a lot of storage and built in areas for the sofa, built in areas for a working space.
So important.
Really utilizing every square foot. There's so much value in a room that can be closed off where you can escape, take a phone call, put in some hours of reading or studying. I really wanted to do this room for that reason, to really create that cocoon, that place where somebody could get away.
Let's start from the ground up. So here you really layered rugs. Is that something you often do in your spaces?
Yes, I love to layer rugs in my spaces. When you find that perfect rug, but it might not be the right size for the room, think about layering it on top of a more neutral textural rug.
Sure.
It's a great way to save money on finding something more refined, like a silk rug or an antique, and mixing it with a natural fiber that's a little bit more budget friendly.
So we, of course, mentioned this beautiful lighting the other day.
That's right. This is my line with Circa, and
Yeah.
I'm so excited to see it in this room and to see all the textures and finishes come together. My vision behind the whole collection was really taking traditional lines and traditional fixtures and modernizing them, creating them new, which was really my theme for the whole space.
And one thing that designers are known for that can be a little scary for everybody else is mixing and matching furniture. How do you do that successfully?
One trick to using a more saturated tone is by pairing it with neutrals and whites and more muted earth tones.
Sure.
So I really thought it was important to take the built-ins all the way up to the ceiling to celebrate the height of the room. And I think if you're ever doing a dark color or something more saturated, by balancing it with a white ceiling, it always helps to make the room not feel too dark or too small. This room to me was all about juxtaposition of contrast of textures. So I wanted to bring in a little bit of glamour to the high gloss finish. And then this gorgeous brass detailing the architectural grill did to every single panel, and then balance it with the woven textures. And you know, that's a trick anybody can take home, is that just getting a wallpaper and paneling the inside of their cabinets.
Amazing.
But you could do linen, you could do leather, suede, you can even back fabrics.
That's great.
And put it inside cabinet paneling. And of course, I love the brass detailing, but you could also do it with painted wood. You know, I really wanted to bring in a dose of Southern hospitality, being from Houston, and wanted to create a tea room. And really a space that you could come and entertain and have a friend over, have a cup of coffee. And so I created a hidden moment in this corner of the room. If you open up the cabinet.
What? This is so fantastic.
So I used this beautiful walnut as an accent for the inside of this cabinet. That way when you open up the red lacquer, it's a beautiful surprise.
It's a whole moment.
It's a whole moment, that's right. And just a great space to entertain and still be able to put it away.
I mean, well, I don't know about you, but this space, I think, is set for us to actually have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee. Preference? One lump or two, my dear.